We finished our flight training and were sent to the railway junction to get shipped out. It was pure chaos. Soldiers from all the services were trying to find their way to where they had to be. In the end, we were told to board the train on platform 4 and ride it to the end of the line. We would be directed from there. The journey, it lasted 4 days. It was cramped and the food was terrible. Eventually, the sound of artillery could be heard, and as we arrived at the station and began to disembark, we were met by the most bizarre sight. The platforms were packed with wounded, fellow Soviet soldiers. They lay or sat, covered in dirt, mud, dried or wet blood. Bandages and all showed signs of serious wounds. They looked at us, almost with hatred. Us, standing there in our clean uniforms and shiny buttons. The Red Air Force was somehow above their torment. Eventually I was able to grab a medical orderly. "Where are we?" He looked at me like I was a simpleton. "Comrade, you are in Stalingrad." It took me some time, but we finally got transport in an ambulance returning to the city that smelled of death. And finally he stopped at a crossroads and pointed. "That will be your airfield about 3 miles down the road," he said, and we walked the rest of the way. The other pilots paid us little attention when we arrived. Only one big man who had been there the longest said we would be lucky to survive a week. One of the others said he was just trying to frighten us. It worked. I was a fighter pilot, and I hoped for one of the sleek new fighters. My heart, however, sank when I saw the I-16, a barrel with wings, old, ugly, and it did little to inspire confidence. My plane was a white and green camouflage, and the tall joker from before laughed and said it was a marshmallow. We laughed together, and then he left. What is marshmallow? The following day would be our first mission, and with it my first view of the city. Fires burned, and it looked like nothing could live down there. Not a single building appeared untouched by the battle, and the Volga herself. Rivers were meant to be a thing of life, but this had the look of death. The land was so vast and empty. How would they conquer it? How would we defend it? The motherland will prevail, but everyone on it may not. Then I had my first look at the enemy. 6 Stukas in close formation and without fighter escort. My heart raced as I followed my flight into pursuit. Remember your training. Short, controlled bursts. Aim for vital components. Do not stay fixated on the target. In the end, I squeezed the trigger so hard I thought I would bend the flight stick. I went through the ammunition amazingly fast and thought I had hit every fuel tank on the plane. It is a surreal moment to see a human being leap from a plane into the open sky, and the Stuka dropped into a dive and crashed. As I pulled away, I suddenly found myself locked in combat with a 109 and I had very little ammunition left. And I had holes in my wing from the Ju-87's rear gunner, but I did not realise this. Ahead, a plane was falling from the sky, trailing black smoke, and I hoped it was not one of ours. I felt tired and exhausted. The battle with the Stuka, short though it was, had taken an extraordinary amount of energy. I was sweating and my hands were shaking. I fired on the 109 from too far away, but I wanted this done. A parachute, theirs, ours, and still trapped in the combat between the 109 and myself. As I was chasing the 109, there was suddenly tracer fire, and all around me. I was so focused on the enemy plane I had not looked anywhere else, and I was sure I had been bounced, but it was a yak joining the fight. The German rolled over and went in. And just like that, the skies were empty. The I-16 has a wide track undercarriage, which in theory helps with landing, but it's also shorter than my penis, which doesn't give much leeway when the tail bounces. Burying the propeller or flipping the plane is really not that impossible. As I exited my plane, the morale officer ran up. "Comrade, comrade," he yelled, "it's confirmed. You have been awarded the Stuka kill and a medal. We have great plans for you." I thanked him, not really knowing what else to say, and after he left I went behind a tree and was sick.